The Book of Job, chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was perfect and upright, and one who feared God and turned aside from evil, and there were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His possessions also were 7,000 sheep and 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-asses, and a very great household. So that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, each one on his day, and they sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And when they had gone around the days of their feasting, Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings, according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts." So Job did always. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. And the Lord said to Satan, "Where do you come from?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, from walking up and down in it." And the Lord said to Satan, "Have you set your heart against my servant Job? Because there's none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one who fears God and turns away from evil." Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Hast thou not made a hedge around him and around his house and around all that he has on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he has, and he will curse thee to thy face." And the Lord said to Satan, "Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not put forth your hand upon him." And so Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Now there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And there came a messenger to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans swooped down and took them away. Yea, they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only have escaped alone to tell you." While he was still speaking, there also came another and said, "The fire of God has fallen from the heavens, and has burned up the sheep and the servants, and have destroyed them. And I only have escaped alone to tell you." And while he was still speaking, there also came another and said, "The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and swooped down upon the camels, and have carried them away. Yea, they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only have escaped alone to tell you." And while he was yet still speaking, there also came another and said, "Your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, and behold, a great wind came from the wilderness, and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only have escaped alone to tell you." Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. And he said, "I came naked out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." And in all of this Job did not sin, nor charge God foolishly. Job chapter 2. And there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said to Satan, "Where do you come from?" And Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, from walking up and down in it." And the Lord said unto Satan, "Have you set your heart against my servant Job, that there is none like him in all the earth, a perfect and upright man, one who fears God and turns away from evil? And still he is keeping hold of his integrity, although you moved me against him to destroy him without a cause? And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man has he will give for his life. Put forth thy hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, then he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said to Satan, Behold, he is in your hand, but save his life. And so Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, and struck Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot to the top of his head. And he took a broken piece of pottery to scrape himself with, and he sat down among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, Do you still hold to your integrity? Curse God and die. But he said to her, You speak as one of the foolish women speak. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil as well? And in all of this, Job did not sin with his lips. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that had come upon him, each one came down from his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamite. For they had met together to come to mourn with Job and to comfort him. And when they lifted up his eyes afar off and did not know him, they lifted up their voices and wept. And each one tore his robe, and they sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. And so they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights. And no one spoke a word to him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Job chapter 3. Now after this Job opened his mouth and cursed his day, and Job spoke and said, Let the day perish in which I was born, and the night in which it was said, A man-child is conceived. Let that day be darkness. Let not God look upon it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death claim it. Let a cloud dwell upon it, let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not rejoice among the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, that night let it be silent. And let no joyful voice come in it. Let those curse it who curse the day, who are ready to stir up Leviathan. Let the stars of its twilight be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day, because it did not shut up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hide sorrow from my eyes. Why did I not give up the spirit when I came out of the belly? Why did the knees go before me, or why the breasts that I should suck? For now I should have lain still and have been quiet. I should have slept. Then I would have been at rest with kings and wise men of the earth, who built ruins for themselves, or with princes who had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or as a hidden, untimely birth I would not have been, like infants who never saw the light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary are at rest. There the prisoners are at ease together. They hear not the voice of the slave driver. The small and the great are there, and the slave is free from his master. Why is light given to him who is in misery, the life to the bitter who are bitter in soul, to those who long for death, but it does not come, and dig for it more than for hidden treasure, to those who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave? Why is light given to a man whose way is hidden, whom God has hedged in? For my sighing comes before I eat, and my groanings are poured out like the waters. For the things which I greatly fear have come upon me, and that which I was afraid of has come to me. I was not in safety, nor did I have rest, nor was I quiet. Yet trouble continues to come upon me. Chapter 4. We're reading from the book of Job, chapter 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we try a word with you, will you be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, you have instructed many, and you have made the weak hand strong. Your words have upheld him who was falling, and you have made strong the feeble knees. But now it has come upon you, and you faint. It touches you, and you are troubled. Is not your fear your hope? Is not your hope the uprightness of your ways? Remember, I pray you, whoever perisheth, who was innocent, or where were the righteous ever cut off? As I have seen the ones who plow iniquity and sow wickedness always reap the same. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils they are destroyed. The roar of the lion and the voice of the fierce lion and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The strong lion perishes for lack of prey, and the strong lion's cubs are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and my ear received a little of it. In thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men, fear came upon me, and trembling which made all my bones shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, and the hair of my flesh stood up, and it stood still. But I could not tell the form of it. An image was before my eyes, and there was silence, and then I heard a voice. Shall a man who dies be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he puts no trust in his servants, and his angels he charges with folly. How much less in those who live in the houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, who are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning till evening. They perish forever without any one caring. Does not the loftiness which is in them go away? They die even without wisdom. Job chapter 5. Call now, is there anyone who will answer you? And to which of the saints will you turn? For wrath kills the foolish man, and envy slays the silly one. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his dwelling place. His children are far from safety, they are crushed in the gate, neither is there any to deliver them. Their harvest the hungry eats, and takes it even out of the thorns. And the robber swallows up their wealth. For affliction does not come forth from the dust, neither does trouble spring up out of the ground. But man is born to trouble, even as the sparks fly upward. I would seek unto God, and unto God I would commit my cause, to God who does things great and beyond search, marvelous things without number, who gives rain upon the earth and sends water upon the field, to set upon high those who are low, so that those who mourn may be lifted up to safety. He brings to nothing the plots of the crafty, so that their hands cannot do wisely. He takes the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the wily is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noonday, as in the night. But he saves the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor do have hope, and iniquity shuts her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God corrects. Therefore do not despise the chastening of the Almighty, for he makes sore and binds up. He wounds, and his hands make whole. He will deliver you in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 no evil shall touch you. In famine he shall redeem you from death, and in war from the power of the sword. You shall be hidden from the whip of the tongue, neither shall you be afraid of robbery when it comes. At destruction and famine ye shall laugh, Neither shall ye be afraid of the beasts of the field, for you shall be in covenant with the stones of the field, and the beasts of the field shall be at peace with you. And you shall know that your tent is in peace, and ye shall visit your fold and shall miss nothing. You shall know also that your seed shall be great, and your offspring as the grass of the earth. You shall come to your grave in a full age, like a shock of grain comes in its season. Behold this, we have searched it, and we have found that it is so. Hear it, and know it for your own good. Chapter 6. We are reading from the book of Job, chapter 6. Then Job answered and said unto him, O that my grief were but weighed, and my ruin laid in the balances together! For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore are my words swallowed up, for the arrows of the Almighty are within me, the poison of which drinks up my spirit. The terrors of God set themselves in order against me. Does the wild ass bray when he has grass? Or does the oxen low over his fodder? Can that which has no taste be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? My soul refuses to touch them. They are as sorrowful food to me. Oh, that I might have my desire, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for, even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would loose his hand and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort. Yea, I would rejoice in pain, though he did not spare me. For I have not hidden the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope? And what is my end that I should be patient? Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh of brass? Is not my help in me, and is wisdom fully driven away from me? To him who is afflicted pity is due from his friends, but he forsakes the fear of the Almighty. My brothers have dealt deceitfully as a brook. As the streams of brooks they pass away, brooks which are black because of the ice, in which the snow is hidden. When they become warm they go away, and when it is hot they vanish out of their place. The paths of their ways are turned aside, they go to nothing, they are lost. The troops of Tema looked, and the companies of Sheba hoped for them. They were ashamed because they had hoped. They were there, and they were ashamed. For now you are like them. You see my casting down, and are afraid. Did I say, Give to me, or offer a bribe for me from your wealth, or deliver me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from the hand of the mighty? Teach me, and I will be silent. Cause me to understand where I have gone astray. Right words are powerful, but what does your arguing argue? Do you intend to criticize words, and the speeches of one who is hopeless, that are as wind? Yea, you cause anger to fall on the fatherless, and you dig a pit for your friend. And now please look upon me, for if I lie, it is before your face. Turn back, I pray you, let there be no sin. Yea, return again, my righteousness is in this matter. Is there anything wrong in my tongue? Cannot my taste tell things that are wrong? Chapter 7. Is there not a warfare to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of a hireling? As a servant earnestly desires the shadow, and as a hireling looks for his wages, so I am made to possess months of vanity, and weary nights are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, When shall I arise? But the night is long, and I am full of tossing to and fro until the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust, and my skin is broken and has run afresh. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and are ended without hope. O remember that my life is but a breath, and my eye shall no more see good. The eye of him who has seen me shall see me no more. Your eyes are upon me, and I am gone. As the cloud falls and vanishes away, so he who goes down to the grave shall come up no more. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him any more. Therefore I will not hold my mouth. I will speak in the trouble of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I like the sea, or a whale, that thou dost set a watch over me? When I say, my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, then thou dost scare me with dreams, and dost terrify me with visions, so that my soul chooses strangling and death rather than my life. I despise it. I would not live always. Let me alone, for my days are but vanity. What is man that thou shouldst magnify him, and that thou shouldst set thy heart upon him, and that thou shouldst remember him every morning, and try him every moment? Wilt thou never look away from me, nor let me alone until I swallow down my spittle? I have sinned. What shall I do to thee, O thou watcher of men? Why hast thou set me as a mark against thee, so that I am burdened to myself? And why dost thou not pardon my transgression, and take away my iniquity? For now I shall sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall not be. Job chapter 8. Then Bildad answered him and said, Job, how long will you speak these things, since the words of your mouth are like a strong wind? Does God twist judgment, or does the Almighty twist justice? If your children have sinned against him, and if he has cast them away for their transgressions, if you would seek earnestly to God and make your prayer unto the Almighty, if you were pure and upright, surely now he would awake for you, and make a dwelling place of your righteousness, make it blessed. Though your beginning was small, yet your end should be greatly increased. For I pray you, ask of the former age, and prepare yourself to search out their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. Shall they not teach you, and tell you, and speak words out of their heart? Answer me, can the rush grow up without mire? Can the reed grass grow without water? While it is yet in its greenness and not cut down, it dries out before any other herb. So are the paths of all who forget God, and the hope of the ungodly shall perish. His hope shall be cut off, and his trust shall be in a spider's web. He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall hold fast to it, but it shall not endure. He is green before the sun, and his branches shoot forth in his garden. His roots are wrapped around the heap, and he sees the place of stones. If he is destroyed from his place, then it shall deny him, I have not seen you. Behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the earth shall others grow. Behold, God will not cast away an innocent man, neither will he help the evildoers, until he fills your mouth with laughter, and fills your lips with rejoicing. Those who hate you shall be clothed with shame, and the tent of the wicked shall be no more. Chapter 9. Then Job answered and said, Truly I know it is so, but how should man be just with God? If he will argue with him, he cannot answer him, 1 of 1,000. He is wise in heart, mighty in strength. Who has hardened himself against him and been blessed? He who removes the mountains, and they know it not, when he overturns them in his anger. He who shakes the earth out of its place, and the pillars of it tremble. He who commands the sun, and it does not rise, and seals up the stars. He who alone stretches out the heavens, and walks upon the waves of the sea. Who made the bear Orion, and Pleiades, and the chambers of the south? who does great things past finding out, yea, marvelous things without number. Lo, he goes by me, and I see him not. He passes on also, but I do not perceive him. Behold, he takes away. Who can turn him back? Who will say to him, What doest thou? God will not withdraw his anger. The helpers of pride stoop under him. How much less shall I answer him, and choose my arguments with him? Whom though I were righteous, yet I would not answer. But for my judgment I pray unto him. If I had called, and he had answered me, yet would I not believe that he had listened to my voice. He who breaks me with a tempest, and multiplies my wounds without cause, who will not allow me to take my breath, but fills me with bitterness. If I speak of strength, lo, he is mighty. And if I speak of judgment, who shall set me a time? If I justify myself, my own mouth shall condemn me. Though I am perfect, he shall prove me perverse. Though I were perfect, yet I would not know my soul. I would despise my life. It is all the same, therefore I say, he destroys the perfect, and he destroys the wicked. If the whip kills suddenly, he will mock at the calamity of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the faces of its judges. If it is not he, then who is it? Now my days are swifter than a runner. They flee away, and they see no good. They've passed away like the swift ships, like the eagle who swoops on the prey. If I say I will forget my complaint, I will depart from my heaviness and be of good cheer, I am afraid of all my sorrows. I know thou wilt not hold me innocent. I shall be condemned. Why then should I labor in vain? If I wash myself with snow water and make my hands ever so clean, yet thou wilt plunge me into the ditch, and my own clothes shall despise me. For he is not a man as I am, that I should answer him, that we should come together in judgment. Neither is there any mediator between us, who might lay his hand on us both. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not his fear make me afraid. Then would I speak and not fear him, for it is not so with me. Job chapter 10. This portion of the book, Job is in the deepest of despair because of his adversity. Chapter 10, he writes, My soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaint upon myself. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, Do not condemn me. Make me know why thou dost contend with me. Is it good unto thee that thou shouldst press me down, that thou shouldst despise the work of thy hands, and shine upon the wisdom of the wicked? Hast thou eyes of flesh, or dost thou see as a man sees? Are thy days, Lord, like the days of a man? Are thy years like a man's days? That thou dost seek out my iniquity and search for my sin? Thou knowest that I am not wicked, and there is none who can deliver out of thy hand. Thy hands have made me and shaped me altogether, all around, yet thou dost destroy me. Remember, I beseech thee, that thou hast formed me as the clay, and wilt thou bring me now into the dust again? Hast thou not poured me out like milk, and curdled me like cheese? Thou hast clothed me with skin and flesh, and hast fenced me with bones and sinews. Thou hast granted me life and favor, and thy providence has preserved my spirit, and these things thou hast hidden in my heart. I know that this is so with thee. If I sin, when thus dost thou mark iniquity? And thou wilt not acquit me from my iniquity. If I am wicked, then woe unto me. And if I am righteous, I will not lift up my head, being filled with shame and looking upon my affliction. For yea, Lord, it increases. Thou dost hunt me as a fierce lion, and again thou showest thyself marvelous upon me. Thou dost renew thy witnesses against me, and dost increase thy anger upon me. Army after army seems against me. Why then hast thou brought me forth out of the womb? O that I had given up the spirit, and no eye had ever seen me! I should have been then as though I had not been. I would have been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Cease then, Lord, and let me alone, that I may take comfort a little, before I go where I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. A land of thick darkness as darkness itself, a land of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is as darkness. Chapter 11. We're reading from the Book of Job, chapter 11. Then Zophar answered Job and said, Should not the multitude of words be answered? And should a man full of talk be justified? Should your lies make men silent? And when you mock, shall no man make you ashamed? For you have said, My doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thy eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against you, and that he would tell you the secrets of his wisdom, that sound wisdom is manifold. Know therefore that God forgets for you some of your iniquity. Can you by searching find out God? Can you perfectly find out the Almighty? It is as high as heaven, what can you do? Yea, it is deeper than hell, what can you know? The measure of it is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. If he passes through and shuts up or gathers together, then who can turn him back? For he knows vain men, and when he sees wickedness, will he not search it out? For foolish man would be wise, though man be born as a wild ass's colt. If you prepare your heart and stretch out your hand toward him, if iniquity is in your hand, then put it far away, and do not let wickedness dwell in your tents. Surely then ye shall lift up your face without spot. Yea, ye shall be steadfast and shall not fear. For ye shall forget your misery, and ye shall remember it as waters that pass away. And your life shall be clearer than the noonday. Though there be darkness, ye shall be as the morning. And ye shall be safe, because there is hope. Yea, you shall look around you, and ye shall take your rest in safety. And you shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. Yea, many shall seek your favor. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall have no escape. And their hope shall be like the giving up of the Spirit. Chapter 12. Job chapter 12. Then Job answered them and said, No doubt you are the people, and the wisdom will die with you, but I have understanding as well as you. I do not fall short of you. Yes, who does not know such things as these of which you've spoken? I am like one mocked by his neighbor, who calls upon God, and he answers him. The just, the upright man, is laughed to scorn. He that is ready to slip with his feet is like a lamp which is despised in the thought of him who is at ease. The tents of robbers are at peace, and those who provoke God are sure in whatever God brings into their hands. But now ask the animals, and they'll teach you. The birds of the air, they shall tell you. Speak to the earth, it shall teach you. And the fish of the sea shall declare it to you. Who of all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all of mankind? Does not the ear try words, and does not the mouth taste its food? With the old man is wisdom, and understanding in length of days. With him is wisdom and strength. He has wisdom and understanding. Behold, he breaks down, and it cannot be built up again. The Lord shuts up a man, and there can be no opening. Behold, the Lord withholds the waters, and they dry up. Also he sends them out, and they overturn the earth. With him is strength and sound wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are both his. He leads wise men away stripped, and makes the judges as fools. He cuts away the bonds of kings, and binds their loins with a girdle. He leads priests away stripped, and overthrows the mighty. He removes the speech of men, the men of trust, and takes away the understanding of the aged. He pours scorn upon princes, and unties the belt of the mighty. He discovers deep things out of the darkness, and brings out to light the shadow of death. He gives greatness to the nations and destroys them. He spreads out the nations and leads them away. He takes away the heart of the chief of the people of the land, and causes them to wander in a wilderness where there is no path. And they grope in the dark without light, and he makes them to stagger like a drunken man. Job chapter 13. Lo, my eye has seen all this, and my ear has heard and understand it. What you know, and I know also, I do not fall short of you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to argue my case before God, but you are makers of lies. You are all doctors of no value. Oh, that you would altogether hold your peace, and it would be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and listen to the pleadings of my lips. Would you speak unrighteously for God, and talk deceitfully for him? Will you accept his person? Will you contend for God? Is it good that he should search you out? Or as one man mocks another, do you mock him? He will surely blame you if you secretly favor persons. Shall not his highness then make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? You remembered his sayings, and they are like ashes. Your bodies are like bodies of clay. Be quiet, let me alone, so that I may speak, and let come on me what may. Why do I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in my hand? Though he slay me, yet I will trust in him, but I will maintain my own ways before him. This also shall be my salvation, that a hypocrite shall not become before him. Listen carefully to my words, and let what I say be in your ears. Behold now, I have set my cause in order. I know that I shall be justified. Who is he that will plead for me? For now, if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the spirit. Only do not do two things to me, then I will not hide myself from thee. Withdraw not thy hand far from me, and let not thy fear make me afraid. Then call thou, and I will answer. O let me speak, and answer thou me. How many are my iniquities and my sins? Lord, make me to know my transgression and my sin. Why dost thou hide thy face from me, and hold me for thy enemy? Wilt thou break a leaf that is driven to and fro? Wilt thou pursue the dry stubble? For thou dost write bitter things against me, and dost make me to possess the sins of my youth. Thou dost put my feet also in the stocks, and thou dost look closely unto all my paths. Thou dost set a limit for the soles of my feet. Man, like a rotten thing, wears away, like a garment that is moth-eaten. Job chapter 14. Man that is born of a woman is of few days and full of trouble. He comes forth like a flower and is cut down. He also flees as a shadow and does not stay. And dost thou open thy eyes upon such a one, and bring me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean thing? No one. Since his days are fixed, the number of his months is with thee, and thou hast set his bounds so that he cannot pass. Look away from him, so that he may rest until he shall finish his day like a hireling. For there is hope of a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and that the tender branch of it will not cease. Though the root of it becomes old in the earth, and though the stump of it dies in the ground, yet through the scent of water it will bud, and bring forth branches like a plant. But man dies and wastes away. Yea, man gives up the spirit, and where he is. As the waters fail from the sea, and a river falls away and dries up, so man lies down and does not rise, till the heavens are no more. They shall not awake, nor be awakened out of their sleep. O that thou wouldst hide me in the grave, that thou wouldst keep me in secret until thy wrath is past, that thou wouldst set me a fixed time and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my warfare I will wait until my change comes. Thou shalt call, and I will answer thee. Thou shalt have a desire to the work of thy hands. For now thou dost number my steps. Dost thou not watch over my sin too? My transgression is sealed up in a bag, and thou dost sew up my iniquity. And surely a falling mountain crumbles away, and the rock is moved out of its place. The waters wear the stones. Thou dost wash away the things which grow out of the dust of the earth. And thou dost destroy the hope of man. Thou dost always have thy way against him, and he passes. Thou dost change his face, and dost send him away. His sons come to honor, and he knows it not. And they are brought low, but he does not understand them. But his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. Chapter 15. We're reading from the Book of Job on our family Bible reading fellowship, chapter 15. Then Eliphaz answered and said unto him, Should a wise man answer with windy knowledge, and fill his belly with the east wind? Should he reason with talk that does no good, or with speeches with which he cannot do good? Yea, you do away with fear, and take away prayer before God, for your iniquity teaches your mouth, and you choose the tongue of the crafty. Your own mouth condemns you, and not I. Yes, your own lips testify against you. Are you the first man that was born? Or were you made before the hills? Have you heard the secret of God? And do you limit wisdom to yourself? What do you know that we do not know? What do you understand that is not in us? With us are both the gray-headed and the very aged men, much older than your father. Are the comforts of God small with you? Is there any secret thing with you? Why does your heart carry you away? And what do your eyes wink at, that you turn your spirit against God, and let such words go out of your mouth? What is man, that he should be clean, and what is he who is born of a woman, that he should be righteous? Behold, he puts no trust in his saints. Yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. How much more hateful and filthy is man, who drinks iniquity like water. I will show you, hear now me, and that which I have seen I will declare, that which wise men have told me from their fathers, and have not hidden it, unto whom alone the earth was given, and no stranger passed among them. The wicked man labors in pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the terrible one. A fearful sound is in his ears. In peace the destroyer shall come upon him. He does not believe that he shall come back out of the darkness, and that he is waited for by the sword. He wanders abroad for bread, saying, Where is it? Where is it? He knows that the day of darkness is ready at hand. Trouble and pain shall make him afraid, and they shall overflow against him, as a king ready to battle. Because he stretches out his hand against God, and sets himself against the Almighty. He runs upon him with a stiff neck, with the thick layers of his shields, because he has covered his face with fatness, and has put layers of fat upon his loins, and he lives in ruined cities, and in houses where no man lives, where are ready to become heaps. He shall not be rich, nor shall his wealth hold out, nor shall he prolong his days upon the earth. He shall not depart out of the darkness, the flame shall dry up his branches, and by the breath of his mouth he shall go away. Let not him who is deceived trust in vanity, for vanity shall be his reward. It shall be done before his time, and his branch shall not be green. He shall shake off his unripe grape like the vine, and shall cast off his flower like the olive. For the company of the ungodly shall not bear fruit, and fire shall devour the tents of bribery. They conceive mischief and bring forth evil, and their belly prepares deceit. Chapter 16. The Book of Job, chapter 16. Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things, but you are all tiresome comforters. Shall words of wind have an end? Or what provokes you that you should answer? I also could speak as you do. If your soul were in my soul's place, I could heap up words against you, and shake my head at you. I might make you strong with my mouth, and the moving of my lips would spare you. Though I speak, my pain is not held back, and though I forbear, in what way am I eased? But now he has made me weary, and thou hast destroyed all my company. And you have filled me with wrinkles, which is a witness against me, and rising up against me my leanness bears witness to my face. He has torn me in his wrath and hated me. He gnashes upon me with his teeth, and my enemy sharpens his eyes upon me. They have gaped upon me with their mouth, and have scornfully beaten upon me and upon my cheek. They have gathered themselves together against me. God has delivered me to the ungodly, and turned me over into the hands of the wicked. I was at ease, but he has broken me in pieces. Yea, he has also taken me by my neck, and shaken me to pieces, and set me up for his mark. His archers hem me in. He cuts my kidneys apart and does not spare. He pours out my gall upon the ground. He breaks me with break upon break. He runs upon me like a giant. I have sewed sackcloth upon my skin, and defile my horn in the dust. My face is smeared with weeping, and my eyelids is the shadow of death, though no violence was in my hand, and my prayers pure. O earth, do not cover my blood, and let my cry have no place. Also now, behold, my witness is in heaven, and he who testifies of me is on high. My friends scorn me. My eyes pour out tears unto God. Oh, that one might plead for a man with God, as a man pleads for his neighbor. When a few years have come, then I shall go the way from which I shall not return. Job chapter 17. My spirit is broken. My days are ended. The grave is ready for me. Surely there are mockers with me, and does not my eye rest on their insults? Lay down a pledge for me with thyself. Who is he who will strike hands with me? For thou hast hidden their heart from understanding, therefore thou shalt not lift them up. He who for a share speaks flattery to his friends, even the eyes of his children shall fail. He has made me also a byword of the people, and I have become one in whose face they spit. My eyes also is dim because of sorrow, and all my members are like a shadow. Upright men shall be amazed at this, and the innocent shall stir himself up against the hypocrite. The righteous also shall hold on his way, and he who has strong hand shall be stronger and stronger. For as for you all, Return, and come now, and I shall not find a wise man among you. My days are past, my purposes are broken off, even the thoughts of my heart. They change the night into day, the light is short because of darkness. If I wait, the grave is my home. If I have made my bed in the darkness, if I have said to rottenness, You are my father, and to the worm, You are my mother and my sisters, where then is my hope? And as for my hope, who shall see it? They shall go down to the bars of the pit, when our rest together is in the dust. Job chapter 18. Then Bildad answered and said, How long will it be until you set an end to these words? Understand, and afterwards we will speak. Why are we counted as cattle, or seem stupid in your sight? He tears himself in his anger, and shall the earth be forsaken for you? And shall the rock be moved out of its place? Yes, the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tent, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be hampered, and his own plan shall be thrown down. For he is thrown into a net by his own feet, and he walks upon a net. The trap shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall hold sway against him. The rope is laid for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall pursue him close to his heels. His strength shall be hunger-bitten, and trouble shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin, even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. His hope shall be rooted out of his tent, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. It shall dwell in his tent because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his home. His roots shall be dried up beneath, and above his branch shall be cut off. His memory shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the street. It shall be driven from light to darkness, and chased out of the world. He shall have neither son nor kinsman amongst his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. Those of the west have been amazed at his day, as those from the east have been made afraid. Surely such are the dwellings of the wicked, and this is the place of him who does not know God. The 19th chapter of the book of Job. And Job answered and said, How long will you grieve my soul, and break me in pieces with words? These 10 times you have blamed me. You are not ashamed that you make yourselves strange to me. And if indeed I have been guilty, my error remains with myself. If indeed ye will magnify yourselves against me, and plead against me and my misery, know now that God has overthrown me, and has closed his net about me. Behold, I cry out, violence, but I am not heard. I cry aloud, but there is no justice. He has fenced up my ways so that I cannot pass, and he has set darkness in my path. He has stripped me of all my glory. He has taken the crown from my head, and has destroyed me on every side, and I am gone. And he has uprooted my hope like a tree. He has also kindled his wrath against me, and unto himself he counts me as one of his enemies. His troops come together and raise up their waves against me, and camp around my tent. He has put my brothers far from me, and my friends have only truly turned away from me. My people have fallen away, and my familiar friends have forgotten me. Those who dwell in my house and my maids count me as a stranger. I am a foreigner in their sight. I called my servant, and he gave me no answer. I must beg him with my mouth. My breath is hated by my wife, and I must beg to the children of my mother's womb. Even young children despise me. I arose, and they spoke against me, and all my close friends turned away from me. and those whom I loved have turned against me. My bone clings to my skin and to my flesh, and I have escaped with the skin of my teeth. Have pity upon me, O my friends, for the hand of God has touched me. Why do you, like God, persecute me? And why are you not satisfied with my flesh? O that my words were now written, O that they were printed in a book, that they might be engraved with an iron and lead pen, and cut in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and that he shall stand at the last day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another's. My heart is exhausted within me, but you ought to say, why do you persecute him, since the root of the matter is found in me? Be afraid of the sword, for wrath brings the punishment of the sword, so that you may know that there is a judgment. Job chapter 20. Then Zophar answered him and said, Therefore my thoughts cause me to answer, and for this I make haste. I have heard the rebuke meant to shame me, and the spirit of my understanding causes me to answer. Do you know this from days of old, since a man was placed upon earth, that the singing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the ungodly is only for a moment? Though his honor mounts up to the heavens, and his head reaches into the clouds, yet he shall perish forever, like his own dung. They who have seen him shall say, Where is he now? He shall fly away like a dream, and shall not be found. Yes, he shall be chased away like a vision of the night. The eye that has seen him shall see him no more, neither shall his place see him any more. His children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. His bones are full of his youth, which shall lie down with him into the dust. Though wickedness is sweet in his mouth, and though he hides it under his tongue, though he spares it and does not forsake it, but keeps it still within his mouth, yet his food in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of asps within him. He has swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asps. The viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, or the flowings of the brooks of honey and butter. He shall give back that which is labored for, and shall not swallow it down. According to the wealth which he has gotten, he shall not rejoice. For he has pressed down and forsaken the poor. He has violently taken away a house which he did not build. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save any of that which he has desired. None of his food shall be left. Therefore no man shall look for his goods. In the fullness of his plenty he shall be in trouble. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike through him. It is drawn and comes out of the body, yea, the glittering sword comes out of his gall, and terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hidden in his secret places. A fire not blown shall burn him. It shall go ill with him who is left in his tent. The heavens shall reveal his iniquity, and the earth shall rise up against him, and the increase of his house shall depart, and shall flow away in the day of his wrath. This is the portion of a wicked man from God, and the inheritance given to him by God. Chapter 21. But Job answered him and said, Listen carefully to my speech, and let this be your comfort. Allow me to speak. And after I have spoken, mock on. As for me, is my complaint a complaint unto man? Why should my spirit not be troubled? Turn unto me and be amazed, and lay your hand upon your mouth. Even when I remember, I am afraid, and trembling takes hold of my flesh. Why do the wicked live and become old? Yes, become mighty in power. Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull breeds and does not fail, and their cows calve, and does not cast her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and the harp, and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth. They go down in a moment to the grave. And therefore they say to God, Depart from us, for we do not desire the knowledge of your ways, nor do we need you. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we pray to him? Lo, their good is not in their hand, the wisdom of the wicked is far from them. How often is the candle of the wicked put out, and their trouble comes upon them? He shares our pain in his anger. They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm steals away. God lays up his iniquity for his children. He rewards him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his ruin, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what pleasure does he have in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the middle? Shall anyone teach God knowledge? Shall he judge those who are on high? One dies in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, his bones are wet with marrow. And another dies in the bitterness of his soul, and never eats with pleasure. They lie down together in the dust, and both the worms shall cover. Behold, I know your thoughts, and the plots which you wrongfully hatch against me. For you say, Where is the house of the prince? And where are the dwelling places of the wicked? Have you not asked those who go by the way, and do you not know their signs, that the wicked is kept for the day of ruin? They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Who shall declare his face? And who shall repay him what he has done? Yet shall he be brought to the grave, and shall remain in the tomb. And the clods of the valley shall be sweet to him, and every man shall draw after him, and there is no numbering of those before him. How then do you comfort me in vain, since in your answer there still remains transgressions? Job chapter 22. Then Eliphaz answered Job and said, Can a man be any good unto God, as he who is wise may be of good to himself? Is it any pleasure to the Almighty that you are righteous? Or is it gain to him that you make your ways perfect? Will he reprove you for fear of you? Will he enter into judgment with you? Is not your wickedness great, and your iniquity without measure? For you have taken a pledge from your brother for nothing, and stripped the naked of their clothing. You have not given water to the weary to drink, and you have held back bread from the hungry. But as for the mighty man, he had the earth, and the honored man lived in it. You have sent widows away empty, and the arms of the fatherless have been broken. Therefore snares are all around you, and sudden fear troubles you, or darkness so that you cannot see, and a flood of water covers you. Is not God high in heaven, and behold the height of the stars, how high they are? And you say, How does God know? Can he judge through the dark cloud? Thick clouds are a covering to him, so that he does not see, and he walks in the circuit of heaven. Do you keep to the old way which wicked men have walked, who are cut down before their time, whose foundations was overflowed with a flood? Who said to God, Depart from us, and yet he filled their houses with good things. But the wisdom of the wicked is far from me. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn. Truly our foe is cut down, and fire has burned up their wealth. Now become one with him, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come to you. Receive, I pray you, the law from his mouth, and lay up his words in your heart. If you return to the Almighty, you shall be built up. You shall put away iniquity far from your tents. Then you shall lay up gold like dust, and the gold of Ophir like the stones of the brooks. Yea, the Almighty shall be your defense, and ye shall have plenty of silver. For then ye shall have your delight in the Almighty, and shall lift up your face unto God. You shall make your prayer unto him, and he shall hear you, and ye shall pay your vows, and you shall also order a thing, and it shall be fulfilled to you, and the light shall shine upon your ways. When men are cast down, then ye shall say, There is a lifting up, and he shall save the humble person. He shall deliver the island of the innocent, and it is delivered by the pureness of your hands. Chapter 23. Job chapter 23. Then Job answered and said, Even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him, and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me, and understand what he would say to me. Will he plead against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might reason with him, so should I be delivered forever from my judge. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backwards, but I cannot see him. On the left hand where he works, but I cannot behold him. He hides himself on the right hand so that I cannot see him. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot has held fast to his steps. I have kept his ways, and have not fallen away. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have counted the words of his mouth more than my necessary food, but he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what his soul desires, even that he does. For he does what is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore I am troubled at his presence. When I look, I am afraid of him, for God makes my heart soft, and the Almighty troubles me, because I was not cut off before the darkness, neither covered the darkness from my face. Job chapter 24. Why, since times are not hidden from the Almighty, do those who know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks, they violently take away flocks and feed them. They drive away the ass of the fatherless, they take the widow's ox for a pledge, they turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, like wild asses in the desert, they go forth to their work, rising early for a prey. The wilderness yields food for them and for their children. They reap each one his grain in the field, and they gather the grapes of the wicked. They cause the naked to spend the night without clothing, so that they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountains, and embrace the rock for lack of a shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge from the poor. They cause him to go naked without his clothing, and they take away the sheaf from the hungry, who make oil within their walls, and tread their wine presses, and still suffer thirst. Men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded cries out, yet God does not attend to them. They are of those who rebel against the light. They know not the ways of it, nor stay in the paths of it. The murderer rising with the light kills the poor and the needy, and in the night they are like as a thief. The eye also of the adulterer waits for the twilight, saying, No eye will see me, and sets his face in secret. In the dark they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves in the daytime. They do not know the light. For the morning is to them like the shadow of death, for they know the terrors of the shadow of death. He is swift as the waters, their portion is cursed in the earth. He does not behold the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat eat up the snow waters. So does the grave those who have sinned. The womb shall forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly upon him. He shall be remembered no more. And wickedness shall be broken like a tree. He ill-treats the women who bear no children, and does no good to the widow. He also draws the mighty with his power. He rises up, and no man is sure of life. Though he is blessed with safety in which he rests, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They are lifted up for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way like all others, and are cut off like the tops of the ears of grain. And if it is not so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech worth nothing? Chapter 25. The Book of Job, chapter 25. Then Bildad answered him and said, Rule and fear are with him, the Almighty. He makes peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies? And upon whom does not his light arise? How then can man be justified with God? Or how can he who was born of a woman be clean? Look even to the moon, and it shines not, yea, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less man, who is a maggot, and the Son of Man, who is but a worm? Chapter 26. But Job answered and said, How have you helped him who is without power? How have you saved the arm that has no strength? Have you advised him who has no wisdom? And how have you plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom have you spoken words? And whose spirit came from you? The souls of the dead tremble under the waters, and those who dwell in them. Hell is naked before him, and the place of ruin has no covering. He stretches out the north over the empty place, and hangs the earth upon nothing. He binds up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not torn under them. He holds back the face of his throne, and spreads his cloud upon it. He has hemmed in the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of heaven tremble and wonder at his rebuke. He divides the sea with his power, and by his understanding he strikes through the proud. And by his spirit he has made the heavens beautiful. His hand formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand it? Job chapter 27. Moreover, Job continued his parable, saying, As God lives, who has taken away my judgment, and the Almighty who has made my soul bitter, as long as my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils, my lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. God forbid that I should justify you. Until I die, I will not remove my purity from me. I hold fast my righteousness, and will not let it go. My heart shall not shame me as long as I live. Let my enemy be like the wicked, and he who arises against me as the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the ungodly, though he has increased, when God takes away his soul? Will God hear his cry when trouble comes upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? I will teach you by the hand of God that which is with the Almighty, that I will not hide. Behold, all you have seen it yourselves. Why then are you so completely vain? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the inheritance of a cruel man, which they shall receive from the Almighty. If his children are multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those who remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widow shall not weep. Though he heap up silver like the dust, and provide clothing like the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver amongst them. He builds his house like a moth, and like a booth that the watchman makes. The rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He opens his eyes, and he is not. Fear shall take hold of him like waters. A storm steals him away in the night, and the east wind carries him away, and he goes, and a stormy wind sweeps him out of his place. For God shall cast upon him and not spare. In fleeing he would flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. Job chapter 28. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and a place for gold, where they refine it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is melted out of the stone. He sets an end to darkness, and perfectly searches out the stones of darkness and the shadow of death. He breaks open a shaft at the sight of the stranger. They are forgotten by the foot that passes by. They hang far away from men. They swing to and fro. As for the earth, out of it comes bread, and under it is turned up as it were fire. The stones of it are the place of sapphires, and it has the dust of gold. There is a path which no bird knows, and which the vulture's eye has not seen. The lion's whelps have not walked on it, nor has the fierce lion passed by it. He puts forth his hand upon the flinty rocks. He overturns the mountains by the roots. He cuts out rivers among the rocks, and his eyes see every precious thing. He holds back the floods from overflowing, and the hidden things he brings to light. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know the price of it, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth says, "It is not in me." The sea says, "It is not in me." It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price of it. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for vessels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Where then does wisdom come from? And where is the place of understanding? It is hid from the eyes of all living, hidden from the birds of the air. The place of ruin and death say, "We have heard the fame of it with our ears." God understands the way of it, and he knows the place of it. For he looks to the end of the earth, and sees under all the heavens, making a weight for the winds, and measuring out the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning to thunder, then did he see it and declare it. He prepared it, yea, searched it out. And he said to man, "Behold, the fear of the Lord is wisdom, and to depart from evil, that is understanding." Job chapter 29. Moreover, Job continued his parable, and said, "O that I were as in months past, as in the days when God used to watch over me, when his candle shone upon my head, when I walked through darkness by his light, as I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tent, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were around me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured out rivers of oil for me, when I went out to the gate through the city, and when I prepared my seat in the street. The young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes held back from talking, and laid their hands upon their mouth. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue did cling to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard it, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. because I delivered the poor who cried, and the fatherless, and him who had none to help him. The blessing of him who was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was like a robe and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind. I was feet to the lame. I was a father to the poor. And the cause which I did not know I searched out. And I broke the jaws of the wicked, and plucked the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days like the sand. My root was spread out by the waters, and the dew lay all night upon my branch. My glory was fresh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand. Men gave ear unto me, and waited, and kept silent at my counsel. After my words they never spoke again, and after my speech dropped upon them, and they waited for me like the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain, I smiled kindly upon those who did not believe it, and they could not cast down the light of my face. I chose out of their way, and sat chief, and lived like a king in the army, as one who comforts the mourners. Job chapter 30. But now those that are younger than I make fun of me, whose fathers I would have refused to set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, the strength of their hands, in what way should it profit me? Men in whom ripe age must perish. They are dried up with want and famine. They gnaw the ground in the gloom of waste and ruin. They pluck mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their food. They were driven forth from amongst men. They cried after them as after a thief. They must dwell in the gloom of the valley, in holes of the earth and in the rocks. They bray amongst the bushes. They are gathered together under the nettles. They are children of fools, yea, sons of nameless men. They have been whipped out of the land. And now I am their song, yea, I am their byword. They despise me, they flee far from me, and do not wait to spit in my face, because he has untied my cord and afflicted me. They have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand rise the youths, and they push away my feet, and they raise up against me in the ways of their ruin. They have broken down my path, they gain my trouble. They have no helper. As though a wide break they came upon me. With a crash they rolled themselves upon me. Fears have turned upon me, and they pursue my soul like the wind. And my good passes away like a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me. The days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night, and the gnawing pain takes no rest. By the great force of my disease, my clothing is changed. It binds me about like the collar of my coat. He has cast me into the mire, and I have become like dust and ashes. I cry before thee, and thou didst not hear me. I stand up, and thou dost not look upon me. Thou hast become cruel unto me. With thy strong hand thou dost oppose thyself to me. Thou liftest up me into the wind. Thou dost cause me to rise upon it, and thou dost melt me. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all the living. However, he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his ruin. Did I not weep for him who was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came. When I waited for light, darkness came. My bowels boiled and did not rest. The days of trouble came upon me. I went blackened without the sun. I stood up. I cried in the congregation, I am a brother to the jackals and a companion of ostriches. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Therefore my harp has turned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of those who weep. Chapter 31. The Book of Job, chapter 31. I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a virgin? For what part from God is from above, and what is the inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not trouble to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Does he not see my ways? Does he not count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot has hurried to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, so that God may know my uprightness. If my step has turned out of the way, and if my heart has walked after my eyes, and if any blot has held fast to my hands, then let me sow, and let another eat, and let my harvest be rooted out. If my heart has been deceived by a woman, or I have laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind to another, and let others bow down upon her. For that would be a shameful crime, yea, it would be an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For it is a fire that burns to ruin, and would root out all my gain. If I despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant, when they argued with me, what then shall I do when God rises up? And when he visits, what shall I answer him? Did not he who made me in the womb make him also? And did not one shape us in the womb together? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my bit by myself alone, and the fatherless has not eaten of it, for from my youth he was brought up with me as with a father, and I have been led from my mother's womb, if I have seen any perish for lack of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless, when I saw my help in the gate, then let my arm fall from my shoulder blade, and let my arm be broken from the bone. For trouble from God was a terror to me, and because of his highness I could not do anything. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, you are my trust, if I have rejoiced because of my wealth being great, and because my hand had gotten much, if I looked unto the sun when it shone, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart has been secretly tempted, or my mouth has kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge. For I would have denied the God who is above. If I rejoiced at the ruin of him who hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, also I have not allowed my mouth to sin by asking his life with a curse. If the men of my camp did not say, who can find one who has not been satisfied with his meat? The stranger did not sleep in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions like Adam, by hiding my iniquity in my bosom, then let me tremble before a great multitude, and be terrified by the scorn of families, so that keeping silence I shall not go out of the door. Oh, that I had one to hear me! Lo, here is my mark, let the Almighty answer me, and that my foe has written in a book. Surely I would carry it upon my shoulder, and bind it like a crown to me. I would declare to him the number of my steps. Like a prince I would go near him. If my lands cry against me, or the furrows likewise complain of it, if I have eaten the fruit of it without money, or have caused the owners of it to lose their life, then let thistles grow instead of wheat, and weeds instead of barley. The words of Job are here ended. Chapter 32. We're reading together the Book of Job. We now begin reading chapter 32. This is Family Bible Reading Fellowship. Job 32. So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite, of the family of Ram, was kindled. His wrath was kindled against Job, because he had justified himself rather than God. Also his wrath was kindled against his three friends, because they had found no answer, and had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited beside Job with words, because they were older than he was. And when Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these 3 men, then his wrath was kindled. And thus Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and you are very old. Therefore I was afraid, and dared not show you my opinion. I said, days should speak, and the multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty gives them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore I say, listen to me. I also will declare my opinion. Behold, I waited for your words. I listened to your reasons, while you searched out what you say. Yes, I listened to you, and behold, there was none of you who proved Job to be wrong, or who answered his words. Beware that you do not say, we have found out wisdom. God has pushed him down, not man. Now he has not directed his words against me, and I will not answer him with your speeches. And they were amazed, and they answered no more, and they quit their speaking. Shall I wait because they answer no more, because they stand still and answer no more? I also will answer my part. I also will declare my opinion. For I am full of words, the spirit within me presses upon me. Behold, my belly is as wine which has no vent. It is ready to burst like new wineskins. I will speak so that I may be refreshed. I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person. Neither let me give flattering titles to men, for I do not know how to give flattering titles. Else my Maker would soon take me away. Chapter 33. Job, chapter 33. Therefore, Job, I pray you, hear my speeches, and listen to all my words. Behold, now I have opened my mouth. My tongue has spoken in my mouth. My words shall be of the uprightness of my heart, and what I know my lips have clearly spoken. The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty has given me life. If you can answer me, set your words in order before me, and stand up. Behold, I am toward God, even as you are. I also am formed out of the clay. Behold, my terror shall not make you afraid, neither shall my hand be heavy upon you. Surely you have spoken in my hearing, and I have heard the voice of your words, saying, I am clean without transgression. I am innocent, neither is there iniquity in me. Behold, he finds reason to be against me. He counts me for his enemy. He puts my feet in the stocks. He marks all my paths. Behold, in this you are not right. I will answer you that God is greater than man. Why do you fight against him? For he does not give account of any of his matters. For God speaks once, yea, twice, though man does not yet understand. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls upon men, in slumberings upon the bed, then he opens the ears of men, and seals their teaching, so that he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from man. He keeps back his soul from the grave, and his life from perishing by the sword. He is also chastened with pain upon his bed, and the multitude of his bones with strife, so that his life is sick of bread, and his soul of dainty food. His flesh is eaten away so that it cannot be seen, and his bones which were not seen stick out. Yea, his soul draws near to the grave, and his life to the destroyers. If there had been a messenger for him, a mediator, one among 1,000, to show man what is right toward God, then he is gracious to him, and says, Deliver him from going down to the pit, for I have found a ransom. His flesh shall be fresher than a child's, and he shall return to the days of his youth. He shall pray unto God, and he will be gracious unto him, and he shall see his face with joy, for he will give unto man his righteousness. He looks upon men, and if any say, I have sinned, and twisted that which was right, and it did not profit me, he will deliver his soul from going into the pit, and his life shall see the light. Lo, all these things God oft-time works 2 and 3 times with a man, to bring back his soul from the pit, to be lighted with the light of the living. Hear this, O Job, listen to me. Hold your peace, and I will speak. If you have anything to say, answer me. Speak, for I desire to justify you. If not, listen to me. Hold your peace, and I will teach you wisdom. Job 34. Elihu is speaking now. Job chapter 34. Hear my words, O wise men, and give ear to me, you who have knowledge. For the ear tries words, as the mouth tastes meat. Let us choose for ourselves what is right. Let us know among ourselves what is good. For Job has said, I am righteous, and God has taken away my right. Do I lie against my right? My wound cannot be cured, it is without transgression. What man is like Job, who drinks up scorning like water, who goes in company with the workers of iniquity and walks with wicked men? For he has said, it profits a man nothing, that he should delight himself in God. Therefore listen to me, you men of understanding. Far be it from God that he should do wickedness, and from the Almighty that he should do wrong. For the work of a man he shall give back to him, and cause every man to find according to his ways. Yes, surely God will not do wickedly, neither will the Almighty twist judgment, who has given him a charge over the earth, or who has set the whole world in order. If he sets his heart upon man, if he gathers to himself his spirit and his breath, all flesh shall perish together, and man shall turn again to the dust. If now you have understanding, hear this. Listen to the voice of my words. Shall one who hates right govern? And will you condemn him who is just and mighty? Is it fit to say to a king, you are wicked, and to princes, you are ungodly? How much less to him who does not accept the persons of princes, nor look upon the rich more than the poor? For they are the work of his hands. In a moment they shall die. And the people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away, and the mighty shall be taken away without hands. For his eyes are upon the ways of man, and he sees all his steps. There is no darkness nor shadow of death, where the workers of iniquity may hide themselves. For he does not need to set a time to man, to go before God in judgment. He shall break in pieces mighty men without number, and set others in their place. Therefore he knows their works, and he overturns them in the night, so that they are destroyed. He strikes them as wicked men in the open sight of others, because they turned back from him, and would not act wisely in any of his ways, so that they cause the cry of the poor to come unto him, and he hears the cry of the afflicted. When he gives quietness, who then can make trouble? When he hides his face, who can behold him? Whether it be done unto a nation or against a man only, that ungodly men may not reign, that the people may not be trapped. Surely it is right to be said to God, I have borne chastisement, I will not be wicked. That which I see not, teach thou me. If I have done iniquity, I will do it no more. Must he repay you according to your mind, because you refuse it? So you must choose, you and not I. Therefore speak what you know. Let men of understanding tell me, and let a wise man listen to me. Job has spoken without knowledge, and his words were without wisdom. My desire is that Job may be tried unto the end, because of his answers for wicked men, for he adds rebellion to his sins. He claps his hands among us and multiplies his words against God. Job chapter 35. Moreover, Elihu continued and answered Job, saying, Do you think this to be right, that you said, My righteousness is more than God's? For you said, What good will it be unto thee? And what good shall I have more than if I had sinned? I will answer you, and your friends with you. Look to the heavens and see, and behold the clouds which are higher than you. If you sin, what do you do against him? Or if your transgressions are multiplied, what do you do unto him? If you are righteous, what do you give him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness may hurt a man, as you are, and your righteousness may profit the Son of Man. Because of the multitude of cruel burdens they cry out. They cry out because of the arm of the mighty, but none says, Where's God, my Maker? Who gives songs in the night? Who teaches us more than the animals of the earth, and makes us wiser than the birds of the sky? There they cry, but he gives no answer. Because of the pride of evil men, surely God will not hear vanity, neither will the Almighty look upon it. Although you say you do not see him, judgment is before him, therefore trust in him. And now, is it for nothing that he has punished in his anger? Yet he has taken full knowledge of sins. Therefore Job opens his mouth in vanity. He multiplies words without knowledge. Job chapter 36. Elihu then went on and said, Bear with me a little, and I will show you what I have yet to speak on God's behalf. I will bring my knowledge from afar, and will credit righteousness to my Maker, for truly my words shall not be false. He who is perfect in knowledge is with you. Behold, God is mighty, and does not despise. He is mighty in strength and wisdom. He will not keep alive one who is wicked, but gives right to the poor. He withdraws not his eyes from the righteous, but they are on the throne with kings. Yes, he causes them to sit forever, and they are very high. And if they are bound in chains and are held in cords of afflictions, then he shows them their works and their sins, that they have behaved themselves proudly. He also opens their ears to teaching, and commands that they return from iniquity. If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in blessedness, and their years in pleasure. But if they do not obey, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. But the ungodly in heart heap up wrath. They cry not when he binds them. They die in their youth, and their life is among the defiled. He delivers the poor in his affliction, and opens their ears in trouble. Even so he would have removed you out of trouble, into a broad place where there is no trouble, and that which should be set on your table would be full of fatness. But you have fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold of you. Because there is wrath, beware lest he take you away with his stroke, that a great ransom cannot deliver you. Will he esteem your riches? No, not gold, nor all the forces of strength. Desire not the night when people are cut off in their place. Beware, do not turn to iniquity, for this you have chosen rather than affliction. Behold, God lifts himself up by his power. Who teaches like him? Who has appointed him his way? Or who can say, Thou hast done wrong? Remember that you magnify his works, which men behold. Every man has seen it. Man may see it afar off. Behold, God is great, and we do not know him. Neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he draws up the drops of water, and they pour down rain according to its mist, which the clouds pour down and drop down upon man plentifully. Also can any understand the spreading of the clouds, or the noise of his tabernacle? Behold, he spreads his light upon it, and covers the bottom of the sea. For by them he judges the people, he gives plenty of food, he covers his hand with the lightning, and commands it to strike the mark. The thunder reveals him to his friend, and the cattle concerning the storm that is coming. Job chapter 37. My heart trembles at this also, and it moves out of its place. Listen carefully now to the noise of his voice, and the sound that goes out of his mouth. He directs it under the whole heaven, and is lightning to the ends of the earth. After it a voice roars, and he thunders with the voice of his majesty, and he will not hold them when his voice is heard. God thunders marvelously with his voice. He does great things which we cannot understand. For he says to the snow, Be upon the earth, likewise to the small rain, and to the great rain in its strength. He seals up the hand of every man, so that all men may know his work. Then the beasts go into the dens and remain in their places. Out of the south comes the whirlwind, and cold out of the north. By the breath of God ice is given, and the breadth of the waters is frozen tight. Also by filling them with water he loads the thick clouds, he scatters his bright cloud, and it is turned around by his steering, so that he may do whatever he commands them upon the face of the land, whether as a whip, or for his land, or for mercy. He causes it to come. Listen to this, O Job. Stand still and consider the wonderful works of God. Do you know God placed them and caused the light of his cloud to shine? Do you know the balancing of the clouds, the wonderful works of him who is perfect in knowledge? How your clothes are warm when he quiets the earth by the south wind? Have you spread out the sky with him, which is strong as a molded mirror? Teach us what we shall say unto him, for because of darkness we cannot frame our speech. Shall it be told him that I speak? If a man speak, surely he shall be swallowed up. And now men do not see the sun. It is in the clouds, but the wind passes and clears them. Fair weather comes out of the north. With God is fearful majesty. The Almighty, whom we cannot find out, is excellent in power. Yet to judgment and overflowing righteousness he does no violence. Men therefore fear him. He does not respect any who are proud in heart. Chapter 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Now gird up your loins like a man, for I will ask of you, and ye shall answer me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell if you have understanding. Who has laid the measure of it, if you know? Or who has stretched the line upon it? Upon what are foundations of it fastened? Or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy, who shut up the sea with its doors, when it broke forth as if it had come out of the womb? When I made the cloud its robe, and the thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and set my limit to it, and set bars and doors, and said, You shall come thus far, but no further. And here the pride of your waves shall stop. Have you commanded the morning since your days, and caused the dawn to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned like clay to the seal, and they stand forth like a garment. And from the wicked their light is withheld, and the high arm shall be broken. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or have you walked in search of the depths? Have the gates of death been opened to you, or have you seen the doors of the shadow of death? Have you understood the breadth of the earth? Tell me, if you know it at all. Where is the way where light dwells? And as for darkness, where is its place, that you should take it to the bounds of it, and that you should know the paths to its house? Do you know it because you were born then, or because the number of your days is great? Have you entered into the storehouses of the snow, or have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I have kept for the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the light parted, and by what way does the east wind spread itself upon the earth? Who has cut a channel for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness in which there is no man, to satisfy the deserted waste and the waste ground, to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Has the rain a father? Or who has brought forth the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of heaven? Who brought it forth? The waters are hidden as under stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Can you bring the Mazzaroth in their season? Or can you guide the bear with its sons? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you set up the rulership of it in the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds so that floods of water may cover you? Can you send lightnings that they may go and say to you, Here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts of it? Or who has given understanding to the mind? Who can number the clouds in wisdom? Or who can empty out the bottles of the sky, when the dust grows into hardness and the clods cling fast together? Will you hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions, when they crouch in their dens, and sit in a hiding place to lie in wait? Who provides food for the raven, when its young ones cry to God, and they wander for lack of food? Job chapter 39. Do you know the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth, or can you tell when the hinds calve? Can you number the months that they fulfill, or do you know the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are strong, they grow up in the open fields, they go forth and do not return again. Who has sent out the wild ass free? Or who has untied the bands of the wild ass? I have made the wilderness its house, and the salt lands its dwellings. It scorns the multitude of the city, neither does it listen to the shouting of the driver. The range of mountains is its pasture, and it searches after every green thing. Will the wild ox be willing to serve you, or stay by your crib? Can you tie the wild ox with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after you? Will you trust him because his strength is great, or will you leave labor to him? Will you trust him that he will bring home your seed and gather it into your barns? The wing of the ostrich beats joyously, but are her pinions and feathers the loving stork's? For she leaves her eggs in the earth and warms them in the dust, and forgets that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beast may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain, without fear, because God has caused her to forget wisdom. neither has he given her understanding. When the time comes, she lifts herself up on high, and she scorns the horse and its rider. Have you given the horse strength? Have you clothed his neck with strength? Can you make him afraid like a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is fearful. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes on to meet the armed men. He mocks at fear and is not frightened. Neither does he turn back from the sword. The quiver rattles against him, and glittering spear and shield. He swallows the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither does he stand still at the sound of the trumpet. He says amongst the trumpets, Aha! Aha! And smells the battle far off, the thunder of the captains and the shoutings. Does the hawk fly by your wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Tell me, does the eagle mount up at your command, and make her nest on high? She lives and stays on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place. For there she seeks the prey, and her eyes see afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the dead are, there she is. Job chapter 40. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said further, Shall he who contends with the Almighty teach him? He who reproves God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will go no further. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Gird up your loins now like a man, and I will ask of you, and ye shall tell me. Will ye also set aside my judgment? Will you condemn me so that you may be righteous? Have you an arm like God, or can you thunder with a voice like him? Adorn yourself now with majesty and honor, and dress yourself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of your wrath, and behold every one who is proud, and humble him. Look on every one who is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then I also will confess unto you that your own right hand can save you. Behold now how the behemoth, which I made along with you, he eats grass like an ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moves his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are like strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the first of the ways of God. He who made him has given him his sword. Surely the mountains bring forth food for him, where all the beasts of the field play. He lies under the shady trees, in the hiding place of the reed and the mire. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willow of the brooks are round about him. Behold, though a river floods over, he does not tremble. He feels safe, even if Jordan swells up to his mouth. Shall any take him before his eyes, or pierce through his nose with cords? Job chapter 41. Can you draw out the Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which you let down? Can you put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many cries unto you? Will he speak soft words to you? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you bind him for your maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay your hand upon him. Think of the battle, that you will never do it again. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce as to dare to stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who has gone before me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. And I will not keep silent concerning his limbs, or his mighty strength, or his goodly frame. Who can uncover the face of his clothing? Or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors to his face? His teeth are fearful all around. His scales are his pride, shut up together with a closed seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together so that they cannot be separated. By his sneezings a light shines, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goes smoke, as out of the boiling pot in the burning reeds. His breast kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. In his neck remains strength, and sorrow dances before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm upon him. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yes, as hard as a piece of the lower millstone. When he raises himself up, the mighty are afraid. Because of terrors, they are beside themselves. If one lay at him with a sword, it will not hold, the spear, the dart, nor the javelin. He counts iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned by him into stubble. Darts are counted as stubble. He laughs at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreads sharp-pointed things upon the mire. He makes the deep boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. He makes a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be gray-headed. Upon earth there is nothing like unto him, who is made to be fearless. Behold, all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Job 42. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withheld from thee. Who is he who hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore I have spoken what I did not understand, things too wonderful for me which I did not know. Hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will ask of thee, and declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see thee. Therefore I despise myself, and repent in dust and ashes. And after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said unto Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against you and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me what is right, as my servant Job has. Therefore now take to yourselves 7 bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up for yourselves a burnt offering, and my servant Job will pray for you, for I will accept him, so that I may not deal with you according to your foolishness, in that you have not spoken of me what is right, like my servant Job. And so Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went, and they did according as the Lord commanded them. The Lord also accepted the face of Job. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job, when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then there came unto him all his brothers, and all his sisters, and all those who had known him before, and they ate bread with him in his house. And they sympathized with him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. And so the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had now 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Keren-happuch. And in all the land there were no women found so beautiful as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance amongst their brothers. And after this Job lived 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. And so Job died, being old and full of days.